The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome back to the Pod at the Palace. I'm your host, Curtis Wilkerson, with Inside Arkansas. Today's episode is presented by Razorback Apparel. Just go to razorback.com and use code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your first purchase today. How's everybody doing this morning? Hopefully nice, refreshed, rejuvenated after a nice little weekend, or maybe you got a case of the Mondays. I don't know. Probably depends on what you did over the course of the last couple of days. I mean, mine was spent cleaning carpets and replacing curtain rods and building cribs and bassinets and all kinds of stuff. But, you know, it's for a great cause. And it also comes with the added benefit of a happy wife and mama to be in the household. So that's a plus for me, man. But it's Monday, which means it is our weekend roundup day. And as I hinted out on yesterday's show, for those of you to listen, it was schedule heavy on Sunday. We called it Schedule Sunday. And today is definitely going to take on a recruiting heavy theme. First of all, and I guess this counts for recruiting. It's just guys who have already been recruited. Housekeeping note. So a lot of people have been asking in the comments or on Inside Arkansas Live or whatever, hey, what's up, man? You were at practice on Wednesday. Paolo Semedo, Elmer Zafich, the two new commits, nowhere to be found. Nobody asked Cal about it. What's going on? What's the deal there? Well, couldn't ask Cal about it, or we could have, but he couldn't have commented on those guys publicly. It's just kind of the nature of where they're at in the process here, which also explains why they weren't around. Okay, so do have it confirmed now by somebody on staff that Paolo and Elmer are expected to report to campus for the start of the fall semester in August. There just wasn't enough time. If you guys remember, it was mid-June when they committed. So they just had a couple weeks to get all that stuff taken care of. Of course, there's, guys who are international, and you've got transcripts and test scores and all kinds of visas, all kinds of stuff that you got to get done there. They just didn't have enough time to get everything processed and get them in Fayetteville on campus and enrolled before that second summer session of classes started a couple weeks ago. That's all. They'll be here, so no worries on that standpoint. But we do have a lot to talk about today. Just Coach Cal and the staff prioritizing a lot of recruits during the live evaluation period over the weekend, multiple different places. So we'll get into that. Another juicy quote from Cal that I really want to dive deeper on, pertaining to Remy Cofield and his role or lack thereof, as well as how this revenue sharing model and the current landscape's impacting high school recruiting moving forward. But I'm going to start with the mystery man, right? Because as we've been waiting with bated breath to see what multi-year prospect John Calipari was going to visit with the intent to add to the roster. He kind of dropped that nugget on us during his press conference the other day. And ever since then, we've been like, well, what does this mean? Right? Pretty much with the way he laid it out in his press conference, it seemed like a transfer ruled out, because he's talking about a guy who's coming in, going to be here for multiple years. And he got into talking about Tyler Ewis's recruitment. And hey, if guys who want to play college basketball for 4 years, I tell them to go somewhere else. They ain't for me, but that's changed. All those things, it doesn't sound like a transfer to me, especially with the soapbox that he gets on with the transfer situation. But anyway, international player, maybe, an unsigned senior, maybe, a reclass, maybe, something along those lines. Well, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, John Calipari was front and center in Rock Hill and in North Augusta for the Adidas 3SSB, the EYBL circuit. So everyone started running down the list of 2026 guys who might reclass, right? Oh man, what about Arafan Diane? He's 280 pounds, so he could be a multi-year guy. Mika Muranen, he cut his list down to 7. Arkansas was in there. Maybe he's going to reclass after all. Not sure that those guys really fit the criteria that Cal was kind of laying out there. I mean, those are a couple highly coveted prospects. If they were to reclassify, they'd probably be looking at to streamline their pathway to the NBA, right? Maybe 2-year guys, but the way Cal's talking, is somebody that's going to be in the program for the long haul there, which is interesting because we were just talking about, are we going to ever see another 4-year Hog? Well, he's talking like he might be a little bit more interested than he has been in the past in somebody like that. Developmental guy, know that he's going to be in the program for a few years. They also just took a couple of bigs who sort of fit that mold, especially Elmer. So, yeah, I don't know if it's those guys. International player, well, we didn't see the plane leave the country, to our knowledge, at least. So, unless it's a kid who's already over here and maybe, playing in one of these events or something over the weekend, that kind of feels unlikely at this point, too. But the plane did, according to our incels over on the Discord, traveled from, North Augusta. It was over there for the EYBL event to Coatesville, Pennsylvania. And we were like, well, why the hell would he go there? Well, it just so happens to turn out that that's about a 30-minute drive from Oaks, Pennsylvania, where the Made Hoops Summer Live session was going down. Now, this Made Hoops, what the heck is that? Well, it's a step down from EYBL or 3SSB, but it's another circuit, grassroots circuit. And these events are littered with low major, mid-major coaches. There have been several big-time prospects over the years who've come out of there. Several notable guys. Saturday, John Calipari just so happened to pop out. He was courtside, as proven by a sneaky little photo or two from the Scoring Factory versus the Triple Threat Platinum game. Actually, a couple nice picks out there. Shout out to Dave Talon, the media director with the Scoring Factory, by the way. Let me pull up these pictures real quick. Look at that man. Looks good. Just sitting there. He looks good in red, doesn't he? Look at him. There he is. On the phone talking. Are those bodyguards? He got security behind him, you think? How about that? But that's cool. And I know it was cool for those kids. But the program, the Scoring Factory, it features a 6'6" class of 2026 guard named Miuel Bruce McCrummon. And his name's been out there since Saturday at this point. But an intriguing prospect to me because he's one of the, one of those guys you won't find on 24/7 or, Rivals or On 3 or whatever with this high recruiting ranking. Not there, not yet. But you start looking into him and you watch him a little bit and you're like, well, why not? I mean, he's 6'6", from the Pittsburgh area, so it's not like he's in the middle of nowhere. He averaged 21 points, 7 boards this past season, everything honors over there. It's been drawing a lot of interest. Places like Robert Morris, Marshall, Old Dominion, Youngstown State, Columbia, some others in the mix there. He's got a lot of basketball history in his family. Dad played college ball. Mom played college ball. His grandpa, his aunt. There's a lot of college basketball in that family. It's in the DNA. It's in the bloodline. There's lots of Pennsylvania ties there with Cal, some Adu Thero ties, plus, Malik Thomas is from the area. This kid, Miuel, he played against Amir Brown last season. So a lot of familiarity, just plenty of dots to connect with this kid. Now, does that guarantee that he's the guy Cal was talking about? I wouldn't go that far, but it's hard to chalk it up as a coincidence, right? So we'll see. And Arkansas is not the only high major sniffing around either. I've heard that Pitt, which is obviously a little bit more local, has been starting to gauge some interest there as well. But at any rate, got to exchange messages with a few different folks in that organization, the Scoring Factory. They were really pumped that Cal pulled up. I mean, they obviously had heard that it might be a thing and were hoping that he would be able to make it and all that. And then I guess they were out there for warm-ups, and then all of a sudden he appears and he's sitting there courtside. And you know how it is, man. When John Calipari pulls up and he's courtside, people take notice. And that's everywhere. I mean, it's on the EYBL when he's amongst all of his peers. And he's sitting there between Mark Pope and Pat Kelsey and Bill Self and Tom Izzo and all these dudes. And it's like, yo, Coach Cal. He's the one that goes viral for it. And again, this is a good league, this Made Hoops thing. A lot of Division I coaches there, but when Cal walks in, it's like, oh, okay. So they were really excited about that. I thought that was cool. Watch some tape on Miuel. He's skinny, but he's also, supposed to be going into his senior year of high school. And this kid who has potential to turn into a good college player. I really think he can. He knocks down catch and shoot threes, can really get into that mid-range off the bounce, good passer, especially in transition. Looks like he can guard a few spots with his length at the guard position. Needs to get stronger, needs to tighten up the handle, get a little bit more explosive, but he's not a finished product yet. Certainly something to work with, in my opinion. Like with everything I've watched, I could see this being the type of guy who, maybe he is flying under the radar, and he winds up going to a low major, grows into his body and adds some weight. Then he balls out, and all of a sudden he's trying to transfer up somewhere. But if that's the pathway that he took, John Calipari is never going to give him a second thought. It's not his style. That's not the way he operates, especially with guards. So we'll see if he winds up being the guy, or maybe he was the guy that Cal was referencing, but if something comes of it, like if they go through the hurdles here and get him, because he would still have to go through the reclassification process and all that. There's a lot there, but he went out there to see him, went out there to watch him. That much we know. So, the other thing to consider is all of Cal's connections up there. One, that could make it easier for Arkansas to really, really get involved there and make it happen. If it's something they wanted to do, could also be doing somebody a solid. Maybe it's a little bit of both. A buddy, a connection, whatever, has a kid like this who's putting up numbers and has interest, but not a lot of schools are just wanting to bite and go all in. Well, hey, maybe they will after John Calipari pulls up. Changes things. He has that effect on people. So we'll keep an eye on it. I think it'd be really cool if it works out and is a thing. Well, no biggie if not. But these are the type of stories I love and the types of kids that I really pull for there. But make no mistake, man, he can play. He's a good player. So the first name to surface when it comes to Mystery Man. So, fun times indeed. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by HD Roofing and Construction. When those storms hit unexpectedly, severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, hail, straight line winds, whatever, you got to wonder about what's going on up top. And that's your lifeline. Safety. You got to have a roof over your head. That's the old saying, and it really, really matters. You don't want damage up there. When these things happen, give HD Roofing a call. They will come out for a free inspection and give you that peace of mind that you need. And when you go with HD Roofing, you're going to get professionalism, top quality materials, and expert installation to take care of all your roofing needs. Give them a call today, 501-428-0429. Check out the website, hdarkansas.com, or scan that QR code at the top right-hand corner of your screen to get scheduled for that free inspection today. All right. So let's move on now. It was an eventful weekend from the recruiting trail. I mean, Cal was all over the place, and he wasn't Mr. Worldwide. I guess we would call him Mr. Countrywide, but Cal, Chin Coleman, the staff, they were big game hunting all weekend, whether it be at the Adidas 3SSB in Rock Hill or the EYBL session in North Augusta. Obviously, Peach Jam is this coming week, by the way. So they'll be out and about again for that. And we'll be all over that Peach Jam coverage, which I'm really looking forward to. It's an awesome event. But who's the staff prioritizing? Who they have eyes on? And I think we might as well start with the hog in hand. Hog in hand. Yeah, that sounds crazy. Forget I said that. How about the guy who's already committed? Good grief, man. JJ Andrews, right? He had a really, really strong showing with Cal front and center there. Chin Coleman was there with him. They were playing against Team CP3. He went for 15 points, 14 rebounds, really looked the part. JJ started the weekend strong. He had 24 in his first game. I think he had 24.7 rebounds and was just continuing to make that case to get that fifth star. He's got it from ESPN. A couple other places I'm real close. 24/7 has him one spot off. He did struggle for a game or two after that. But obviously he found it in front of Coach Cal. So really good to see. I'm anxious to see what he looks like in Peach Jam next week. But it's always good when you get an early commitment and then you have your head coach who's out there watching you and you show out in front of him. It's validating. It's very validating. So that was good. Let's see. Cal was courtside, obviously, for the number 1 class of 2026 prospect, Tyron Stokes, as were the main competitors. Bill Self, Pat Kelsey, Mark Pope, they were all there. It kind of feels like maybe a 4-team race shaping up here. There's other teams who are involved, but that kind of seems like the top 4 that I hear about the most. And Tyron Stokes is really good. It's kind of funny to me how some people are doing the thing where they're like, yeah, I don't know if he's the number 1 prospect in the class. Really? I mean, he just has been, but some other guys might be passing him. I don't know, man. He's pretty damn impressive to me. I was really impressed with him a couple weeks ago when he was with the FIBA U19s in the World Cup and just showing the ability to accept a role and get in where he fits in with a lot of other really, really talented players and was super impactful for them. And then, immediately went back into alpha mode, takeover mode on the UIBL. Had a big 30-point game. That might have been when Cal was watching, and had some other big games there as well. He's just really good, man. At his size, 6'7", probably 225, 230, and can play 4 different positions on the floor. He's like a point forward. He was knocking down shots, and when he's doing that, he's really, really hard to guard. He's crafty, can get to the rim, plays in transition. I've seen him competing on defense. Like he doesn't really give off diva vibes to me. I mean, he's a dude, the number 1 prospect in the country in his class. He's diving for loose balls and mixing it up in there. So he's really good, man. Really, really good. Speaking of really good, though, Cal was also courtside for Jordan Smith Jr., who he has a really strong case for the number 2 overall prospect in his class, and might be my favorite. He might be at the very top of my wish list. This dude is something else. I mean, we've talked about him before, but powerful, downhill, absurdly athletic and physical guard. He's fun. He's a winner. The ultimate competitor out there. 6'2", so not the tallest in the world, but really, really strong. Sturdy bodies, probably 200 plus pounds already, and a very much a plus wingspan. He's got to be 6'7", 6'8" with that wingspan. This dude can really, really go. And he's been a priority for the staff with, like with Duke. One of the schools that's been looming, I think, as top competition. But, the smoke has been blowing towards the Razorbacks here lately. And I think we're a ways to go on a decision there. But Cal, I think, really, really has a shot with this one. And this dude is good. So nice to see him balling out. Nice to see Arkansas on the staff heavily represented out there checking on him. Speaking of top guards in the class, Brandon McCoy is another name to know, and one that Arkansas was in for as well. Now, we haven't talked about McCoy as much because a lot of the times when we're talking about these 2026 kids, it's because they've had an EYBL session and the staff has been out or whatever. And so it's like, all right, well, who are they front and center for? Well, McCoy didn't play in the first 3 EYBL sessions, but he did this weekend, and he looked really, really good. I got to catch one of his games. Great defender, great athlete. Some crazy dunks. Like his highlight package from this weekend is stupid. Man, that jumper needs some work, but he is an elite talent. Duke, Auburn, UCLA is a Cali kid, Bama, Arkansas in pursuit amongst others. But hey, the Razorbacks are in there. So another name for us to have on the board. Didn't hear as much by way of Arkansas and Christian Collins this weekend, which saddens me a bit because he's probably in my top 2 to 3 favorites in this class. 6'8" wing, was paired with Taj Ariza. We talked about him quite a bit. He was him and JJ were probably my favorite watches from earlier in the spring. Well, it's unfortunate, but yeah, it didn't really see much with Arkansas there. Maybe they did check on him, maybe they did watch a game, but if that happened, I didn't hear that Cal was out there. So we'll see what happens with that. Probably still a ways to go with that one as well. Now, these were all EYBL guys over at Adidas. There were some notable happenings for sure. Cal was front row for 5-star shooting guard Caleb Holt. And not only that, but the assistants were there to see him beyond that game that Cal was at. It's like when Cal went over to the Nike thing, some of the other staff members were there watching Holt. So this is a young man who was on the World Cup team a couple of weeks ago. We know Chuck Martin was out there for that. His team just won the Adidas event. And Cal's been recruiting him for a long time, over a year now. So there you go. I got another name to keep up with. It's crazy because you're just kind of going down the list of the top guys in the country that Arkansas is starting to prioritize. Tay Kenny, what a controversial figure over on the Discord. We talked about him the other day, but 5-star point guard in the 2026 class, overtime elite kid. So you know how that goes. I mean, looking at you, Malik Thomas, looking at you, Carter Knox. There's a history there with Cal and the Hogs. So, okay. He's also a Kentucky native. So, you know the competition. Kentucky's in there. Louisville's in there. Other schools. But Tay Kenny has scheduled an official visit to Fayetteville for the weekend of the Notre Dame football game in September 26th and 27th when he's going to be in town. It kind of seems like some folks out there aren't necessarily huge fans of his game. I mean, listen, personally, I might favor some of the other guys. I'm a big Jordan Smith Jr. fan. Boy, McCoy's really, really good. But, I mean, I certainly wouldn't say no to a player like Kenny. He's really good. And I think he plays a bit bigger than his 6'1" frame suggests. got some meat on his bones. He's kind of a gunner, but he averaged about 5 assists per game at overtime elite. So I don't know, man, but as an overtime elite guy, you simply cannot count out John Calipari with this one, and he's got that official visit scheduled. So it's definitely one that we need to be aware of and keep an eye on. So we'll see where things go with that. Then there's the big man, Arifan Diane, who Arkansas has been, they've been out to see a bunch all summer, frankly, and this weekend was no exception. Cal was out there Thursday, seeing him in person. I know that, the staff was out there watching him more. He's a big boy. I mean, one of the services has him listed at 7'1", 260 pounds. I saw another one that has him 6'11", 280. Maybe we just go in the middle and we call him 7 foot 270. I don't know, but a large human being nonetheless, and he's skilled. He's a good player. From Africa, then to Canada, then to the States. He's playing in Iowa. He's had a really, really good summer. And again, for his size, like he runs the floor well. He's not just a big bruiser. I mean, he's skilled. The dude can go. He's a player, and he's really skyrocketed his stock, closing in on 5-star status himself. So Arkansas is in there pretty deep. A couple 2027 guys. So Arkansas getting out ahead of things there. Of course, we mentioned Tyrone Jameson out of Shreveport, Louisiana yesterday, top 15 in that class. And Cal watched him play Saturday morning and then offered him right after that. And this is a kid who's already visited. He was an unofficial, but he was there for the Lipscomb game last season. So some early momentum there for Arkansas on that front. Looking ahead to the future. They also got eyes on the number 1 player in the 2027 class, and you might as well start learning the name now. Baba Oladotin, a 6'9" wing. Really, really good. Obviously, he's the number 1 player in his class, but the same game that Cal and Shane Coleman were watching Jordan Smith Jr., he was playing against him. Baba was. He was playing for Team Durant. He went for 15 and 7. So he's playing up and showing out there as well. So there you have it. Now, I wanted to get into some of Cal's commentary on rev share and freshman versus transfer recruiting, but I think I'm actually going to save that and do a full episode on it in the next day or two, because there's a lot to unpack there. We're already 22 minutes in, and there's a lot that I want to get into from that. So we're gonna stretch out the content. It's what we do here on the Dog Days. So let's actually shift gears, or maybe shift back to what we were just talking about. Let's wrap on this, since we've touched on so many names. Let me pull up a little big board action here, and let's play a game of hot and cold with Arkansas, and then we'll call it a day. Let me find it here, and voila, there you go. Okay. So I want to run through all these guys, the 2026 recruiting big board. And I'm sure there's a name or two that isn't on there that will emerge or whatever, but for the most part, the guys that you're looking at here. And let's roll through it. Tyron Stokes, for example, the number 1 prospect in the class, 5-star. I would classify Arkansas as warm here for sure. I wouldn't say boiling hot, but I think warm is fair. I think that Arkansas is in the top 4. Maybe not the leader right now, but boy, if they do get him on campus for that visit, and he said he wanted to visit after Peach Jam, which is next week, I think we could be looking at things heating up there. So I think warm is fair. Now, Jordan Smith, and obviously you still want to get him on campus, but I would categorize him as hot. And when I think hot, I think, maybe he's an Arkansas lean, or Arkansas is right there in the top 1 and 2 to land him. And, we mentioned Duke, and it's, we say Arkansas and Duke all the time. Everybody in the country wants this guy. There's a lot of schools pursuing him, but those might be your clubhouse leaders right now. Brandon McCoy, warmish. I think, it's work to do there. A lot of schools that are in on him. But I think there might be something there with Arkansas. Christian Collins, 5-star, number 4 prospect. These are 24/7 Sports rankings, by the way. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go to cool. I would have had Arkansas at warm, but after this past weekend, it didn't seem as if they were prioritizing him as heavily. So, maybe things have cooled off there. Again, it sucks, man. I love that kid. But Arkansas is on a lot of really, really good players. So there's that. With Caleb Holt, and he's the number 6 prospect in the class, we talked about a minute ago. It's kind of hard to say. Like, I think there are at least a couple schools right now in the SEC that might be better positioned. I don't really have a great feel there with him yet. I need to do some more digging, just being honest, on Caleb Holt. I'll say lukewarm with him. With Tay Kenny, so a 5-star ranked number 11 in his class by 24/7 Sports, hard not to go warm for Arkansas. Now, he's got that visit scheduled for the Notre Dame weekend, so I think warm is fair. I won't go hot though. Like, he's taken several visits. I don't know that as a matter of fact, I would not call Arkansas the leader here, but certainly in the mix. And listen, if he comes down and you're getting the Coach John Calipari visit treatment and the red carpet rolled out for you, and then you go to the Arkansas Notre Dame football game, and I get it. I had a lot of people in my comments like, great, we must really not want this kid if we're bringing him for a football game. But listen, they don't give a damn if you win the game or not. But if there's 72,000 in there and it's loud and it's rowdy, and you get up and you go to a basketball practice early in the morning, you see these guys get after it, and you see Darius Acuff in there, and you see Malik Thomas, who in there, Carter Knox, who in there, all these guys, and it's like, man, dang, these dudes look pretty good. And then all of a sudden, you go down the street to Razorback Stadium, and it's a packed house, and you see the tailgate, and Razorback fans are going nuts. So a lot of times, they don't even keep them there for the whole game, but they'll have you down there on the sidelines, and they'll have you in a suite, and you're there until halftime, and you leave, and you're like, man, this place is legit. So I think that's very, very notable with Kenny. JJ Andrews obviously is committed. I mean, red hot, Razorback red hot. You've already got him, so that's great. The number 13 prospect in the class. Mika Murinen, 4-star, 5-star by some, 4-star by 24/7, but still a top 15 prospect. He cut his list to a top 7. Arkansas was in there, and I think Arkansas is clearly in the top half of that group. I don't know if I would call him the leader. Some might. I mean, they're right there in the thick of things. Now, if he reclassifies, I don't think Arkansas gets him. But if he sees it out, I think that increases their chances. So probably somewhere between warm and hot for me. Like, I think they're very much in the mix there with Mika if he stays in the 2026 class. Arafan Diane, who we talked about, 4-star number 15, really just a stock riser in his class for sure. I might be compelled to go hot here with him. Now, he's got a lot of schools on him. He's playing in Iowa. Iowa's offered him. Like those schools up there are after him. But Arkansas has pretty clearly prioritized him throughout the course of the spring and summer. And I like where they're at with things right now. Now, he might drag this thing on for a while. So obviously subject to change. Let's see if they can get him on campus soon. And everything like that. But right now, if I've got Jordan Smith hot, I would probably say Arafan would be hot as well. Those would probably be the two guys that I would be the highest on there. And then, listed with others, like Taj Ariza, for example. Arkansas's got an offer out to him. Just haven't heard a whole lot of buzz there lately. He did not participate in this weekend stuff. I don't think he's going to play in Peach Jam either. But he did set some visits. I think he set 4 visits. Arkansas wasn't one of them. So probably cool on that standpoint. Jason Crow, another offer. Sounds like he's going to Missouri. Aiden Chronister is a guy who the previous staff offered. So he's got an Arkansas offer, but haven't heard a whole lot by way of him and Cal. Jacob Lanier is interesting because he did take an unofficial visit recently. So maybe that's one that you keep an eye on, an in-state product. So there you have it. Like, how many will John Calipari take in this freshman class? Because we thought that he was going to do the 4-4-2 thing, and then that kind of got thrown out the window with some of the recent additions they made. And then, maybe he's not really going to do that when you listen to some of the comments that he made the other day. So we'll try to figure that out. And that's something I think we'll talk about a little bit more tomorrow in what I think should be a pretty fun episode. But there you have it. Hey, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hope that all made sense, or at least organize it a little bit. Just a bunch of names. It's kind of where we're at right now. And it's interesting. It's like we talked about with Eric Musselman. It was, man, we gotta be in lockstep with portal season. He's going to be all over the place. And it's the exact opposite with Cal. We need to cover the high school ranks heavier. And maybe we don't go as crazy with the portal, because I don't know that he's ever going to be a guy that's going to take 4 or 5 portal players unless he just gets surprised with some things at the end of the year. But at any rate, hey, if you're not subscribed to Inside Arkansas YouTube channel, please do that while you're here. Turn on that notification bell, because when things happen, news breaks, whether it's a basketball commitment or, big football news or schedule, like whatever, if there's breaking news, we go live and we talk about it. And we always love it when people come in and interact with us, join the chat, engage. It's a good time. And hey, if you listen in the podcast format, we appreciate you as well. We certainly do. You can find the Pod at the Palace, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, anywhere that you listen in audio form. I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back once again bright and early tomorrow, 6 a.m. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas on the Pod at the Palace. You have a good day. We'll see you next time.